So the positions first. So like usually you try to look to get some sort of stable position before you go to the heel hook grip, right? Like if there's nothing, if I don't have a stable leg position and I'm trying to get the heel, it's just going to escape. So usually we'll kind of try to lock in, hold the position in place, try and get the heel, okay, and then I can go for the finish. So there's some different leg configurations which kind of define the positions we're in, and everyone has their own names for these things, so you'll find about 10 different names depending what source you watch, so I'll just give you what I call it, but be aware there's other names. So this here with the leg on the outside, I'm going to be looking for an outside heel. Okay. When both of my feet are on the outside, this is outside ashing position. Okay. I like to call just like a good one. So the outside ashing position, first off, this one is, it's actually not the best position to set up the heel hook. It's probably the best position to finish the outside heel hook, but it's not the best position to set it up, okay? Because I don't have a great ability to make his heel available. Okay? So if he does a good job of hiding that heel, it's really difficult to get from here. Okay? But once you get the heel, with my feet on the outside, I can really put some good like finishing pressure. Okay? So we usually look to actually put our feet on the outside after we've caught the heel. Right? To get the heel exposed, we usually want to reap. Okay? That's bringing my leg across here. Okay? See how it's hard to hide that heel now? Much easier to catch the heel. Right? But it's a little harder to finish. You've got a lot more freedom in his leg when I have the reap. You can finish here, but usually when you get the reap, you expose the heel. They'll usually roll as you put some pressure on, and we try to go to outside ashing, where that's kind of the sequence we'll have a look at and some adaptations I've made to that. Okay. So outside ashing and reap when we're looking at an outside heel. Okay. Then if we pass the leg across, we've got 50-50. Okay. 50-50 when the legs cross my body, my legs essentially are in the same position. Obviously once the leg's on this side, I'm looking for an inside heel kick. Okay. So we've got 50-50. I call this 90-10. It's basically like from 50-50, we're throwing a reap across, we've extracted our foot a little bit, so we're in a much safer position for ourselves and still attack the inside heel. Okay. And my feet are my legs are above the line of the hips. And then we've got the saddle, which is when my feet are both on the inside. Right. Okay. We won't really work from here today, but we'll work from those other positions. Alright. So those are the positions. Let's now look at we're going to start from outside. As I said, I don't usually like to go here and then look for the heel hook, but we're just going to do that because it's a good way to teach you like digging a difficult heel to get, which is interesting. I want to capture the heel hook and I want to get this nice and tight. And if he's making that difficult, there's a certain way I think you need to do it. If your opponent's like just giving you their leg, it kind of doesn't actually matter that much how you grip, as long as it's like sort of okay, right? So like if Gabe like turned this way a bit, I could kind of grab the heel wherever. It doesn't have to be perfect the way I go about it. As long as it's stuck, I can start to apply good finishing pressure. Okay? But there's kind of some things that I look for that I would say is like an ideal grip. That the more of that I have, the tighter the grip's going to be. But also, in a difficult situation, you're going to have to look for things to be a little more better on your behalf to actually get the heel. Okay? So the issue is often that the heel's a little bit hidden like this. Okay? So I'm going to try and expose the heel by pulling the toes towards my ribs here. I'm going to try and go like this. See how that starts to expose the heel. Right? So really important when I do this that I actually have the foot dangling away from me a little bit. See, it's like I'm not really attached to the leg when I do this. If I'm here, I'm already attached to it. It's very hard to like expose enough to get. You see, I'm touching the bottom of his heel, but I haven't actually caught it. classic mistake is to try to like move to the foot and then try to dig the heel here. Again, it can work, but if it's difficult, I'd actually rather have a little distance where I pull back. You see the difference in how well I can wind that up. So actually sit forward a little bit more. Okay. We're just going to have our feet on the outside. You can use your legs to kind of, if I point my knees in a bit, that will help to expose the heel. I can use my right hand a little bit as well. But I want your partner to be like slightly turned out like this, just so it's not going to be, I can't just do that, right? I'm going to have to do a better job than that. Okay. So with my elbow, I try to go towards the end of the foot, and I try and pull the foot back to my ribs first. Right? I don't try to capture the heel first. Easy to slip it. Even if I get the heel, you can slip that pretty easy. It's much harder to slip once I do this. Okay? And I catch here. Right? So you're going to want your forearm like very much near the wrist to capture the heel. So it's difficult to slip through that. So this is, imagine the heel wants to, when I say heel slip, it wants to go to the inside, right? With that bony part of my forearm blocking it, it should be difficult to move through that space. With my elbow locked by my side. Another common mistake is like trying to get it at the elbow. I mean, I can't even do that. Let's say I try and get it at the elbow. This is like a good gap to slip the heel through as well, right? It's not that tight. When your bone holding that heel, if it's right at the elbow, the biggest gap in this structure is going to be at that point. So we more want to have almost have your forearm, you try and get your forearm sort of in line with the foot, with your elbow tight to your ribs. Really make sure the elbow goes tight though, before you dig the heel. Okay, so it's not this, it's this. Right? Elbow going tight, curling in like this. Okay. One time, elbow coming back, pulling to your ribs, capturing. This is probably like too much. You can go too far, you can like lose the toes. We don't want that. But like, there is a picture of Eddie Cummings who probably has the best outside heel hook, doing an outside heel hook, and he's actually got the guy's toes like on the. Now, I don't think he deliberately did this, but like, it kind of shows like the mechanics that he's using to like get the pressure. Obviously, we don't want exactly like that, but you still could finish it. We want to be almost at that point. We want maximum ability to turn that and capture the heel. Alright, so that's just going to be our first thing. I want you to just capture this and then just very lightly, once you got that, Gabe's just going to test. Can he like just turn his foot out and slip the heel a little bit? If he can't, I'm happy. Just use one arm. This second hand is important, but it's nowhere near as important as what you're doing here. So I want to make sure your one arm is holding the leg nice. Yeah. Let's start with that. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I do have a question. Can you use the mat to help defend against the heel hook, like by planting your foot so you can't get under?
Yeah. So the foot's planted. That's where like I tend to try to like if I wasn't outside again, I don't really want to fight for the heel. It's just like a good way to learn how to dig a difficult heel. Now, but I prefer to like bring my leg back a little bit, pinch my knee to my chest. It's a bit harder to put that foot to the mat. If it is on the mat here, even like just by like kind of like, I'm gonna have to start turning a little bit. Again, this is not one of the reasons why I'm gonna have to start turning my back a bit to try to get the heel. If I don't get it, I'm gonna climb this leg up higher. Alright, but let's now look at how I would like to expose the heel, which is with a reap. Okay, so now I'm going to reap across here like this, and I can expose the heel. Right. So you don't have to get it as nicely as I talked about there. Okay. It should be available to you, just like make sure you're going to get it with the reap. Okay. But let's just think about some of the ways Gabe can escape when I reap. Right. So there's a couple of major ways. If his leg's straight, right, and I reap across, he's probably going to be able to like, spin with me, outspin me basically, and it's going to be hard to stay attached. Right? It's going to be hard to land in a good position if his leg stays straight. Right? So we're going to want to, as we do this, we're going to want to try to bend the knee, which is a difficult task. It's a strong structure, and if it's straightening, it's difficult, but we want to try to bend the knee. might try to free the knee line, so just like kind of, actually I'll kind of this edge. So, yeah, ribs here, I might try to like free my knee. Yeah. Now, it's going to be pretty hard to get a heel hook if the knee's not cool. A lot of people will sit back on them, so even if the knee's forward, they'll come up and they'll pressure back, do like this. Maybe even back step after that. But even just like if Gabe locks up a heel hook here, and I can push back into him, it's kind of hard. Like, do you feel it's hard to like apply good finishing pressure? Like just the being like compressed takes away your bridge, right? So you kind of don't want someone coming up with their butt towards you like this. Okay. Yeah. Right. So these are the major things that we're looking out for whilst we read. Okay. We want to just make sure we're dealing with those. Okay. So something now. Usually nowadays I'll kind of reap across and put my foot towards the far hip like this, right? Like I'm pushing down here, right? One of the main reasons for this is it's hard to get up and sit back, which is probably one of the worst outcomes. If he gets up and sits back on me here, especially if he like back steps and he's now in like a passing position, I've now like turned this into a bad situation. Okay? So normally people will reap across the knee like this, right? But you see right at the knee, I'm not blocking his hips at all. So if he wants to sit back on me, he can, right? Which is right. So by going more at the hip, just having this leg just slightly higher with a bit of pressure here. Gabe goes to sit back on me now, should be able to stop that. Okay. When I say stop that, he might be able to still get up. Yeah, so he can still get up here, but he can't come right over the top. And if he goes to back step, it's probably going to actually help. He's going to land himself where we want to go, which is this position here. Right. So I kind of want to extend a little higher with that leg. It's counterintuitive. Obviously, the downside of that, often when we reap on the knee, we think we're holding the knee line in. Okay. So if we're going here, you're going to have to use your other leg to think about capturing the knee line. Okay. So with my right leg, I want to be like kicking that and thinking about pulling back in here. Right. See my right leg stopping that leg and extracting. So as I said, he wants to like free that knee line. Okay. And you might turn and do that as well. Right. That's all of this is bad. Okay. So as I reap across, I'm going to kick and I try to just pull back with my right leg, like a scissor action, kicking his hips down, pulling his leg back. So he tries to free that knee now. It's going to be stuck. Okay. So once I got that, we're now expecting, if he doesn't do anything, I'll start to put pressure to roll. Okay. Actually, now's a good time to talk about the bend of the knees too. Okay. So if he straightens his leg, I said before, if his leg's straight, now they did all this, he can roll out. Okay. So a lot of the time I often prefer, instead of connecting my hands early, to get one hand digging and the other one to kind of sit up. See how that's bending his knee. The reap itself will tend to bend their knee. Like it's kind of, if you've got his legs straight and I do this, it creates a little bit of a bend. Okay. But as they roll, they can start to straighten. Roll it and straighten your leg, you can straighten his leg. Okay. So I want to kind of continue that bend by like sitting up like this. Okay. Of course, I've got my right leg through that leg, tighter. So kind of getting up on my hand if possible. This will also make it a little more difficult for you. But if foot's being pushed up, it's harder to sit back into. Okay. So then he goes to roll. The last thing to think about is landing when his knee can't continue. I don't want to get to here, and now he's able to roll again because his knee's coming. It's pretty common. Each time we roll, I'll probably loosen it a bit. Like that's just, every time you roll, you see that in tournaments. Like if there's more than 3 rolls, they never get the heel. More than 2 rolls, really. Okay, so you want to get them ideally on the first roll off the heel. Okay, so I want to go here. here, I want to sit up, and I want to try and block, like slide. As I change my foot to the other side, which I wait a little bit, I don't do it now. Okay. I want to wait a little bit until this starts to turn. I want to get my knee eventually cutting across like that, stopping that knee. So we go here, it rolls, knee here, and it blocks. And it should actually be like, it comes on pretty quick. These are the good taps. You can, like, there's a moment where they'll realize, oh, yep, I'm done. Yeah, done. So, we feel like this. We're going to reap across, have our legs extended a bit, pulling back here. We're going to sit up into a turn, curl in, block, and then. Exact same thing can be when they're standing. Yeah, practice either one, right? It could be standing, you get single leg X. Right. I find a way to reap, kick through, come up. Outside. Alright. We got that like arch and swing back. Like when I get my hips in, I can usually overpower the. Like you might be strong with that, but when I bring my hips, my whole body's kind of pulsing. Some people really like to use different grips. I personally mostly just look for the normal heel grip, okay? But there are some other grips people use. Usually if you got longer arms, these tend to be better, okay? But I do use it usually if they straighten their leg, okay? So if Gabe straightens his leg here, like it's just, because his whole, I talked about his whole leg can roll in now, so it's just hard to put like a good amount of rotation in. Like this is where I usually like to change grips. Okay, so you pull the heel up, take out like as much tension as you can. Get your other hand under your far armpit pretty much, and then I'm basically switching wrists. Okay, so with my left wrist, I go deep, and I come back with my right wrist, and then enough room to grab my own bicep and flare my hand out. I still need his toes caught like this, right? So to make sure you don't lose the whole foot. So here, open that space, come underneath, and we change to here. Okay. So the difference here now is just the direction I go to finish. I can kind of like arch, like I'm almost like looking over my left, actually almost straight backwards, but slightly to my left. And I feel like this puts good pressure on, right? I can get a finish like that. Whereas with this grip, I more have to, like if I want to rotate, it's a bit more of a twist, okay? Which is easier for him to roll. Like if he's straightened his leg, he's going to roll this way. He can really roll with this and probably faster. Okay? But hopefully, if I get this quick enough, I can change it so I'm going like more on this angle. It's a little harder to roll with, and I've got more range. I can finish that. So just be aware there are some other grips. We're just practicing for a moment. We're going to open the heel, come underneath, come with our other hand, grab our bicep. A little touch, close your elbows, but flare your hand out here like this, and then you kind of arch into. Imagine you almost consider this like you're doing, like you're working towards a knee bar almost. Like if he rolls, you might even, sorry, I'll let you roll, sorry, yeah. Like sometimes you can even keep this grip and connect it into knee bars. Underneath here. Push. There we go. Try to like sometimes straighten your leg as you like try to outturn them. Sometimes try to sit back and push into them. Sometimes try to just free your knee line. Try some different options and just see how well you're going defending those. Okay, so just a little bit of light resistance to this. Okay, but again, we're not trying to finish the heel hook. We're just trying to catch it. So 50-50. So now we're in this position 50-50. Okay. So obviously, like some of the risk is that Gabe can attack my heel, I can attack his. Right? So we need some defense in this. Most simple defense is just cross your feet. Okay. So get across his feet. Don't immediately have a heel. Okay. So probably that's the first thing to just, if you're in the position, just cross your feet. And now you can start thinking about a plan to attack the heel, escape the position if you want to, or transition to something else. So I need to know how to defend, how to unlock Gabe's feet, how to dig the heel, and how to transition myself into better positioning if possible. So we've got 50-50 here. Usually if I can, I like to get towards 90-10. Now, improve my positioning, I can still attack the heel, but there's less chance of a counter. Okay, so that's one of the options to work for. But first, let's just look at defense. Okay. So we want to be very good at not getting killed. So when you do cross your feet, generally I'll cross more at the ankles, right? The triangle is more risky, especially if you turn in. Yeah, the triangle, I can triangle and not do anything. Like if I just sit here, I'm triangled, I'm fine, okay? But if I want to like attack or push his legs, I actually open up to a toe hold, okay? So I don't want to do that. I prefer to be crossed closer to the ankles. If he goes to toe hold here, it's much more like defendable, like pummel, like counter that, right? But here, once that's locked in, it's even hard to unlock my feet here because I'm kind of stuck. Right? This is a bad spot. Right? I tend to be a bit more here. So that's one way to defend, but there's actually a lot of the time we'll like to play a more open leg position. And you have to open your legs if you want to change positions anyway. So how am I thinking about this? Okay. Two types of defense that are really good. One is hiding the heel and the heel slip. Right? So Gabe catches the heel. If he catches this and I can slip my heel, then I can escape. Right? I can slip my heel through that gap. Okay. Preferably, I just hide the heel before in the same direction. Like if I turn this way, he can't get the heel unless he tries to roll. Okay, and then I'll try and roll with him. So if he goes to get the heel now, I can roll with him. And I can get heel. But the heel slip, so when he's actually caught the heel, practice this because it's such a useful movement. I want to try to actually go a little deeper in towards it, right, when I want to slip my heel. The forearm, that wrist, remember when we were digging the heel, we wanted it at the wrist, okay, because that's the best spot to like fight me turning my heel down. Okay. Hard to slip out of that. Remember also the outside heel, we wanted them on their shoulder. Okay. So we didn't want to go on our shoulder because it was a bit loose. So we're basically going to try and force that as we slip our heel out. Right. So Gabe's got that heel hook, and this is usually, guys, this is not like here. Catches here, I'm probably not going to be able to slip very well. It's more like turned a bit. Yeah, he's had to like turn a bit to dig my heel here. So he's already almost going like I'm not far off being able to knock him to his shoulder. Okay. So with this, I'm going to try to tilt, point my toes, get his shoulder to the mat, and you can already feel like you've lost some of the. As soon as his shoulder goes down, he's lost some of the tension on my heel. I want to kick in so that my heel pretty much goes down towards the elbow where it can slip deeper. Okay. So from here, Gabe catches the heel, I put him on his shoulder, and I corkscrew in like this. This is you've got to develop a sensitivity for this. Because it's the wrong way to go if they've got a really tight heel. You're actually just putting it off. Okay. So if he's got like a really tight bite, and I try to like do this, I just basically going to make myself tap already, right? But there's this point where like they're starting to dig your heel, right? And we can come in, turn, kick, right? And then you're just going to continue to roll, and then we'll just cross our feet to go back to being safe, right? So definitely a worthwhile skill. So come towards, make sure you're like pushing in and kind of corkscrew through to slip that heel. Make sure their weight's on their shoulder first. Let's have a go back. But just to like, what I tend to do if I do catch the heel. So if I'm in 50-50, I'm basically, a lot of time I am just waiting. Hopefully I see a chance he opens his legs and I can just catch him. We'll talk about opening the legs as well in a moment, but like hopefully I can just catch the heel here. Right. So if you do catch the heel, there's like quite a few, as you can see, there's quite a few defenses available to Gabe to stop me from finishing the heel. He can slip his toes, he can hide the heel, heel slip, he can hand fight. I didn't really talk about it. It's not that complicated, but like you come in and grab my hands and this starts to cause problems. You know, it's hard for me to extend my body now and rotate when he grabs my arms too. So I actually almost try to do that same toe slip to get my feet stepping on my opponent when I catch the heel. Right? So I see an opportunity, I dig the heel. Almost always I try to like step on a shoulder, which allows me to put my foot in the middle. Okay, simple. Let's say he's trying to hand fight, right? I can't put my foot in the middle, so I can't kick him. If I can step on the shoulder, I get a chance to put my foot in the middle, and that can now like keep him at bay. So it's hard to come in and hand fight. It's hard to even the toe slip starts to get a bit harder now because I'm starting to bridge in and put some pressure. In the 50-50 position itself, it's a little harder to like bridge in and like he's got a lot of leeway here before I put pressure. Okay. So similar to before, I'll catch the heel. Right. I think same mechanics as how we taught it from outside the hook, so I probably won't explain that too much. Get your fist catching the like just poking out the edge here, elbows tight to my ribs. Right, I connect my hands. Right, gaze come forward to hand fight. I'm going to bring my foot inside the shoulder, kick back, which should already break one of the grips as I put my foot in the stomach, and I tend to flare my knees out. So I kind of like open my knees and I drive upward pressure into the kind of the knees moving this way. You can put some rotation on the ankle. That can be a bit of a mix of both rotation and a bridge at this point. But when I step, I do really like to open my knees, so that's important, I think, because the bridge, see how I'm like, as I put pressure on the heel hook, the knee is somewhat side on. Okay, so like, right, I'll just hold this to like, probably feel some knee pressure. There's some knee pressure here. If you pinch your legs and I bridge, you know, it's not like maybe some ankle, but not as much. So I prefer to like kind of like sort of doing this, opening my hips out, not doing this, which tends to turn me more side on and less good. Okay, so quite simple, but we catch the heel. Our opponent's going to come into hand fight. We're going to come underneath the shoulder, kick, step, flare, bridge. Alright, let's go. But just some other things to think about on defense. Okay? And this will lead into like changing to 9 and 10. Right? So I like to also, instead of crossing my feet all the time, a lot of the time I will play from an open leg position. It just allows me more freedom to start like pummeling and moving and getting different positions to it. So if my leg's open, where I want my heel is, or my foot is basically anywhere that's not here. Okay? So if I can retract, usually I will try to retract my knee a lot. I try to pinch in on the shin with my knee and my chest, just in general, because it means if at any point Gabe opens his legs, I've got a chance of catching the heel and it's all kind of tight. But by having my knee back and my foot here, it's already hard to get. Like he has to kind of like pull at my leg and get it, and try and get it in good position. So I've got a bit of time to react if I don't like what's happening. So I try to just like be here. Even better if I can step. If I can take my foot from here and step on him and keep that knee pinch, he now has to push my foot off his chest, back down here, and then pull it up. Okay. Sometimes they even put the foot over their arm, just so they have to swim their arm back in. It gives me a bit of time to react to this. Okay. So this leg's kind of like doing that and just staying out of that danger zone here. My left leg's probably actually more important because that's going to help me in what we call toe slip. Okay, so the toe slip, he catches my heel, and it's basically where I free my toes. Okay, so I could free my heel by slipping the heel. I could free my toes by doing like this. I usually use the toe slip when they're more like, see, it's like facing me more. I'll use it here. Okay. If he's gone side on, I'm going heel slip more. Okay, you're not going to slip your toes out once they get side on. So mostly for the toe slip, it's about just having your foot shallow. So that's why like I was talking about going here. The more I'm here, and if he does dig my heel, he's probably not very well attached to those toes. They're not too far from slipping out. Okay. But my left leg's so important. All you have to do, keep the shoulder away. Okay. Just a little kick on the shoulder, under the armpit or over the top of the shoulder. Now when he tries to stay attached to his toes, you're going to slip out. Okay. So again, here, kick, toes, slip out. Right. This is like and we're going to just practice this as like an active drill, but basically I'm constantly just trying to keep the shoulder away. If you keep the shoulder away, there's no heel. Right? So with my left leg, we do a little bit of try and catch my heel, right? And I just keep doing this. Right? Right, so I can keep my legs open, and I'm sorry, I know.
No, you're
and it's pretty annoying. Even if he does catch it, if my foot's pulled tight, if I get in under the armpit, I can usually free my foot using this toe slip. Okay. One last thing with this, preferably, especially like if he's getting a chance to dig the heel, when I kick the shoulder, I prefer not to go here, but I prefer to go my foot on the inside. I just see how he doesn't get an immediate chance to dig my heel. So instead of going over the top, it's preferable to try to like pummel inside. Especially when things are dangerous, sometimes he's like across my feet, he's waiting for my feet to open, right? If I go to kick, he's actually got a chance to dig me. I'd rather go like knee inside, come inside the forearm, kick, and I'll prevent it. Unlocking the legs. Okay. So if you can unlock the legs, you can then capture the heel. Right? So two ways of doing this. He's crossed his feet here, right, at the ankle, or he's triangled his legs. If it's crossed at the ankle, I try to just like, if you imagine I grab this foot, I want to slide it off the other foot. Okay. But he makes this hook here. That's what keeps him attached. So when I try and slide it off, it's stuck. So my aim is really just make a ramp. I want to like put my hand here, so it's like a ramp. It's no longer like shaped like a hook here, and I can slide the foot over the top. Okay, so put your leg over the top of this. I've got this ramp here. Should be able to separate the legs. So when he connects his feet, I go here. I reach to the toe, and I pull back, making a ramp. And I should be able to separate. Okay. Once we're here, start digging the heel. He's probably going to hand fight or work something like this. We're going to work to hips in position. Finish. Okay. Now, guys, just looking around, like you can move when you step on them. You can move your hips. So, like for example, now I don't have his knee line. Okay, but if my grip's tight and I step on him, I should be able to with my feet I can adjust with my hips up so that I meet his knee. So again, they cross their feet. Obviously, guys, when you're crossing, if they cross the other way, so if he did it this way, I don't care. Just take the heel. So he should cover his vulnerable leg, right, with the other leg. I grip here, go under, I grow back, and I separate. Once we're there, we capture the heel. I'll probably put their defenses in. This is expected. I'm ready to pummel with the shoulder, put my feet in the center. I'll talk about the other one as well. Because similar. If he triangles, just the problem with the triangle is I can't usually get that ramp in. Okay, so here I'll go under, and I try to like push the foot down as I move the leg laterally. Again, so scoop underneath, grab the foot. I just need to like the toes are kind of blocking me moving it. I try to push the toes down a little as I open it out laterally. Again, capture the heel. I work to stepping in. That's good. You develop as well, but like how to defend and hide your heel and get that heel slip or toe slip. How to separate the feet. How to pummel. Like when you do catch the heel, how to pummel and get to good position. And probably the last one is like getting side onto them, so getting to the 90-10. Right? So we're already the actual movement to get there is not too hard from what we've been doing already. Anytime I can pummel and get my foot in the middle, if I can just reap across, even if my knee's up, I just have to then hip in and I can go to here. Just kind of like, even if he's holding my knee and trying to pull it, I can put my leg here, I can usually like suck my knee free. And now I'm in a position where I'm side onto the leg, we're in 90-10, start to capture the heel. So we'll just go through like, almost always, when I get to this point, it's now all the hand fighting and toe slipping and so on is probably a bad idea for getting. The best option is just keep turning this way, just out turn me. And this is still really hard. Okay? This really sucks for the person chasing me. So there are some things we can do. I'll show something that's good. It's a little complicated, but it's really good. And this will be the one we'll finish it. Okay. So if you followed much of like how people are addressing the saddle, often they'll control the secondary leg. Okay. And that kind of slows someone down while you look to get to the heel. From 90-10, we can control the secondary leg too. I'll do it a little bit differently, and I want to end up in position, people are calling this now double 50. Okay, so this is one leg that's in 50. I don't know, the other one's not actually 50-50, but I basically have the same configuration on the other leg. Okay? So I said from here, the main way he was going to escape was to turn this way, right? When I can get this leg kicked through and I back heel, he can no longer turn that. Right? Again, here I go for the heel, he's going to roll, and this is actually quite, like I said, there's ways to try to win this, but it's actually often quite difficult to get the heel if they're turning on. Okay, so we go back. What I'm going to aim to do is during the roll, I know he's going to roll, and I'll back his leg, okay, and then also look to get to this double 50 position. He can no longer turn that way, and I can capture the heel. We're going to start in 50-50. We're going to do our pummel, step in the middle, breathe, and then breathe a knee. Okay. Once we're here, put your always try and put your arm in front so you're ready to capture the heel. So I'm almost never doing this just because it's like there's not a lot I can do. If an opportunity arises, I'll miss it. So I want to be here, ready to take advantage. Right. I'm going to put my knee down on the mat and lift his shin up. This will slow down the roll. Okay, so right now, he can't roll. He's rolling, he can turn it pretty quick. Okay, if I lift his foot in the air and I put my shin down here like this, so I'm kind of like pulling his foot up over past my bicep here, basically just lifting it in here. It's going to slow down the roll. When he goes to roll, it's going to take a little bit longer. He'll still be able to do it, but it's just a little slow. Okay. My right hand's pretty much just going to overhook. Okay, don't try and dig the heel here, just hold the leg as tight as possible. Right. I wait until we turn a little further. Okay, so don't, at this point, this is a mistake I used to make when I first tried this. As he lifted his hips, I'll try to do it. So I'm trying to like thread my leg here, but it's hard, right? And he keeps rolling, and I miss it, and it gets loose, right? So I want to keep this, follow him. Yep, you're going. And now I have an opportunity, just here. I'm flaring my knee out, take my foot through and over the top. Okay. And now that, once you're here, just like back heel, so it's like both feet are back here. You can't hold this forever. Like he's gonna push, absolutely, he'll push my leg off. He'll eventually free his leg and start turning again. But I've got like 1 or 2 seconds probably, if I've got a good back heel. I've got 1 or 2 seconds to do this. Okay. And now he's in a lot of trouble. Okay. So that's what I'm aiming to do. Right. So again, we're stepping in the middle, coming across, freeing our knee, and then we're gonna put our elbow in front, grab the far leg, try to put your knee down and their foot up. Like this. Yeah. Like you're thinking, I think about, it's not really, but kind of like a crab ride hook. I'm trying to like thread my knee underneath here. Okay. Overhook the leg. As we go through, I open space and I kick that deep and I back it. Okay. Now I've got time. As long as I'm deep on the hips, on the knee line I should say, I can capture this. The biggest risk with this is that like you're loose and they free their trap. Okay, that's what you want to be avoiding. Overhook the leg, so it's harder to lose that.
and like shoot your hips, make it tight first before you change to the heel. Okay. Make sense?
Can you
Can you
one more
say it
time?
once more? Yeah. Yeah. Kick. Step. Free the knee. Okay. I'm gonna change to the far leg, put my knee to the mat. Overhook. Okay. And I'm gonna come back and I back heel here. So we can't roll. Okay.